Hi everyone, and welcome back to Art with Mrs. S. Today we're going to be finishing up our rainbows or our ROYGBIVs that we started, and we're going to actually add some clouds and some texture to these. The first thing you're going to want to do though, we're going to get a white piece of paper and we're going to draw two large fluffy clouds on here. So to make that happen, I'm going to start on just one side of my rectangle and I'm going to make a bumpy cloud. Don't do too many bumps because you're going to want to be able to cut this out. If you don't want to draw two, you could fold this in half and cut one out at the same time. But today I'm going to draw two. All right, the next thing you're going to do is cut these out. They can be kind of challenging or complicated to cut out because they are rounded, but always remember to cut out and away, and it doesn't matter where you start, but you're going to want to take some time and go around all of these bumps. If you get off the lines a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. And I always cut out and away, and then when I'm cutting something rounded, notice I'm turning my paper as I'm chomping, so I'm cutting and turning. That way I'm not making these hard straight lines because I want these curved lines, and then it keeps my scissors pointed away. I'm not even pointing them towards my other hand. They're pointed straight out. I'm moving the paper, not the scissors. That's really important. So there's one. I'm going to cut out my second one here so that I have two fluffy, bumpy clouds. Once you get to that point, you can throw away that white scrap piece of paper. And I also need to cut out my rainbow. So if you're in person with me, I will pass these out. The rainbow's not as complicated to cut out. I'm going to actually just cut straight across on the bottom. If you cut a little of your paint off, or if you have a little white space, it's not going to make a difference because we're going to glue those clouds in there. And I'll cut that smooth line on that red that we started with, the R in ROYGBIV. Now I have this gap in the bottom of mine. You might just have purple, so you may not have to cut anything there, but I do because I do have a space, but you do not have to if it's yours is all purple. And I know many of you did that, so that's just fine. Then get rid of those scraps. So now I will have something like this. And if those clouds touch at the bottom, that's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and glue those clouds on. I have some runny Elmer's glue. You know, you have to turn to the left. Sometimes if the nose is clogged, you might have to pick off some of those little crumbly boogers, and then it should work. If it doesn't work, just raise your hand and let me know, just like that. And sometimes you got to give it a minute to get all that glue to the bottom. Just a few drops or a little line will do ya. And then we're going to squash that first cloud on. We'll do that on the opposite side, just a couple dots or a line. No glue puddles today. Now, there's a good chance you probably chopped your name off of your artwork, so I'm going to flip this over before I add my texture. And just put your name. You can put your name on the rainbow part, or you can put it on the clouds. I'll leave that up to you. And then you'll flip it back over. So I now have my clouds, got my rainbow cut out, I got my name on it. Now I'm going to be adding some texture, this nice fluffy texture. You either get cotton balls or you get this just cotton fluff. And you'll want to pull it apart. So if you pinch, and pull those cotton balls, you'll make it so it's a little thinner. It's not just a big lump. If I glued this on, it's going to fall off. So I want to make these smaller pieces. So I'm just pinching and kind of making a little pile of these. This stuff is really easy to put on, but I don't want to overdo my glue. You can do those hops and make some dots. Or if you want to do just a thin line or a zigzag on here, both will work. Notice the zigzag doesn't take as long, but I'm not making a big pool or a big puddle of glue. It's a really thin line or thin dot. And now I'm going to start putting these pieces on here. You do have to squash down a little. If you get some on your hand, just rub your fingers together. It will stick to you some. I'm going to keep doing this until all my clouds are nice and full with this fluff. it's already pulled apart. You gotta squash it down, or when it dries, it will not stay. It'll just pop right off, and then this would have all been a waste of time. You squash it down all together. Just be careful, you'll get that glue on you. Just rub it together, it'll come right off. If you have a spot, like I'm kind of getting close to the edge, I missed a few spots, you can go back and add in a few extra dots if you need to. Remember, pull it apart. Don't put this big blob of fluff on there. Pull it apart. And squash it down until you're all filled up. I really don't want a bunch hanging off the side, so I'm really squishing it in those areas I put that glue. There we go. I think I'm all done today. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to see all of your rainbows finished with your cloud textures. Have a great day.